Now, here's one thing that is striking. I don't know if it's going to come off on the video that much, but this guy looks like he's made completely out of lead.
You diseased maniac. You really think you could hide it from me by encasing it in lead?
Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh Weekly. As always, I'm Robo, and lead. Why did not think of that? Last week when I was talking about that crazy named McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, Superman, Armored Patina Edition, whatever the rest is called, I said everything but lead. Bare metal, raw steel. Well, there's probably a lot of other metal type names that I could have used, but lead, that ties right into Superman himself, his strengths, his weaknesses. I still don't know why Superman needs a set of armor, but looking at the figure, all these different scenarios play in my head, and really, isn't that the point? Isn't that why? Well, okay, everyone collects different. We know how this works, but for me, yeah, good toy is a good toy. Playing is playing. So yeah. Let's kick off this weekly with a few items that we knew existed, but is now getting pre-orders, like the Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man animated series Green Goblin vs. Mary Jane. I've made it well known that I wasn't really into 90s cartoons. At the time, I knew they existed, and it made me happy that comics were getting some mainstream appeal and gaining some popularity. But I was fresh out of high school. I was trying to find my way in the world. I had all the tools right there in front of me. I was just too scared to latch on and not give a damn what anybody else thought. But yeah, that's why I have no nostalgia for this Mary Jane in her height of 90s fashion via the 70s. And then this mean-mugging Green Goblin. Although I have mentioned that I do like this look with the brighter greens and pinks, and then that unmasked Norman head that I could take and put on a suited body after tweaking the lips a little bit, because like we've seen a lot lately, man, just heavy around the mouth area. But then I have no place for Miss Watson. Closer inspection, is that a little bit of shadow on the buttons on the sweater, like giving kind of that animation feel without going full on cell shading? And dang it, looking this close, I forgot about the boots. I remembered that I looked at those at some point and thought, those could go on an Outlaw for my Agency X display. I don't know, we'll see what the future holds. But if Spider-Man the Animated Series was mandatory TV time in your household, $53, scheduled for August. From one 90s cartoon to another, here is the NECA Gargoyles Lexington. Now, they had this on display at San Diego Comic-Con, but at that point, the wings didn't really know what they wanted to be when they grew up. Now, though, oh, our little baby birds are leaving the nest and looking good. That's all because Lexington has a different setup from the rest. His are attached all the way down bat style, while the rest of the gargoyles have them as completely separate appendages. I'm guessing this caused some technical difficulties along the way, and that's why we're seeing Lexington now, near the end of the main cast completion. Is he the last one needed for the group? Back at SDCC in the display case, the wings plugged into the back with a hinge and swivel, while the rest hovered behind and had those bendy wire holes. I'm assuming at the time the thought process was pick a pose and then bend the wings to match that pose, but they're separate pieces. Or maybe it was just an early prototype, because now it looks like the wings are a soft material attached to the arms and they just bend with it. So all you gotta do is pose. It does look odd in a couple positions, like it comes up and out simply because it's a toy and that's what materials do sometimes, but in a lot of other pictures, they look fantastic. That's just my rambling thoughts, having not seen the back of the figure. I don't know exactly what's going on here. All we have to go on are these pictures, and the photographer could have been picking the best poses, or putting things into position where it hides a little bit. Bottom line, though, it's Lexington to go with the gargoyles, and he's looking sweet. I had forgotten that he was the tech expert of the team, therefore the best member of the group. That jarred the theme song loose in my head, and I remembered Goliath leads Lexington, he does machines. That's a fact, Jack. What? That wasn't the theme song? Remember, I didn't watch a lot of 90s cartoons. I just like the designs of the gargoyles. $38, due out in October. Swinging back to last week, here is confirmation that the McFarlane Toys Batman 66 Batgirl does exist. Not that there was a lot of doubt. The pictures looked legit enough, but now McFarlane has posted an official reveal photo. Along with that, CMD Store up in Canada has posted actual in-stock order pages for both Batgirl and Batman and Robin with the oxygen masks. And there, they have individual pictures of the cards. Last week we talked about the figures themselves. Batman and Robin, the respirators are probably stuck to their face, but it's keeping Batman and Robin out there in a line that's based on Batman and Robin. And then Batgirl is marketed as the comic book version to avoid any likeness rights issues. But now we know the accessories that each character comes with. Batgirl comes with bat cuffs and a batarang, Robin has a batarang and a bat communicator, and then Batman has a bazooka. I forgot that was even a thing until I Googled and realized it was included in that Mattel Bat computer set at Toys R Us back in the day. I eyeballed that thing for months, but ended up passing. So that makes these a little more tempting, along with it being actual accessories instead of the clip-on onomatopoeias. Don't get me wrong, I like those in a cheesy, neat kind of way that's very in the spirit of Batman 66, but I also like usable gear. I've got the link to the listings on CMD Store in the description, but with McFarlane officially revealing it, they got to be hitting targets any day now. Speaking of McFarlane reveals, this week we also saw the DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys Store exclusive gold label Movie Flash Speed Force variant. This is the problem with these type of releases and doing this many variations of characters. You have to stuff so many words into the title just to differentiate this one from this one. Is it gold label? Yes, but where is it exclusive to, and which version is it, and its colors, and its character, its movie, its comic book? Ah! The McFarlane Toys Store release.
McFarlane Toys Store, make sure you put in the 2 S's.
It looks like a simple repaint of the Flash movie Flash we just saw released, but I will admit, I like this one better. The eyes seem more realistic, and if you zoom in, is that some digital printing there going on? Have we talked about this before? Is this new to McFarlane, or have I forgotten it? Either or, it's an upgrade, I feel like. But then the darker color scheme just appeals to me. That and the duller finish lets you see all the intricate sculpting work, the little textures here and there, and the yellow lines pop a bit better. On the shinier first release, that's kind of lost in the shuffle. Saying that, I think the first version is actually a bit more accurate to what we see in the movie. Or maybe the movie colors are somewhere between these two, depending on the lighting and how they want to show you the costume in the movie. But now there's a choice. You can get the darker, duller version, and I mean duller as in not as shiny. It's matte. Or you can get the shiny, bright version. Whichever. $20, and I think it's shipping right now because it says add to cart. But if your Flash wants and needs skew a bit more traditional, Target posted their exclusive Flashpoint Build-A-Cyborg Flash just a few hours ago. We had already seen the initial reveal mood lighting picture of this, but it still blows my mind that they are including an unmasked head with this. That doesn't usually happen with DC Multiverse unless it's a gold well, this is gold label, isn't it? So golder label, goldest label, something. But no, it's sitting right there in the package like the 5th seal of the apocalypse. The 3rd seal would be a few months without a Batman figure, and then I guess the last seal would be Hasbro dropping prices or something. I don't know. But not only is there extra plastic for a swappable head, look at the size of those cyborg legs. That is a packed package. And Barry's not running, he's presenting. It's like, ta-da, here you go. Here's cyborg legs. Like I said, Target exclusive, $25, and delivered on or shortly after release date. Thank you, Target, for being so non-specific. I guess that keeps the pressure off them. Plus, it gives them an excuse to constantly ask you if you still want this. You changed your mind yet? No? Well, okay. I'm gonna ask you again next Tuesday at 3:30 a.m. and you have a 10-minute window to reply. If we don't hear from you, we're going to cancel it for you because you don't have lives or anything, or you're not awake at 3:30 a.m. or something. Target. McFarlane doesn't stop there, though. Like we've seen over the past few weeks, they just continue to pile on the reveals with no pre-orders yet. Has it been the past few weeks? Has it been longer than that? Because it seems like there's a lot. Like the Target exclusive gold label, The Dark Knight Returns Jokerized Batman. I don't think this is based on anything specific. This is just easy reuse in interesting colors. You got a little Batman in my Joker. It's Two great tastes that go great together. Done just for the hell of it for the people who may want this. And this should be a surprise to no one. Todd made a video earlier in the year saying this was going to be an ongoing series at Target.
We're going to be doing a whole run where we're actually Jokerizing some of the Batman family characters.
Yeah, I just said that. But if you don't like Batman and grape, how about some blue and raspberry? Looks like they're releasing a Two-Face as Batman, as seen on that one cover from Batman Reborn. I waxed poetic last week about all these Batman variants just being big dumb fun. Batman sells, and it offers opportunities to release other characters, but dang, the more we talk about Batmans, the more it's like, whew, you're really pushing those boundaries. I like this, it's interesting, and I'm sure it's gonna sell, but a comic-accurate Two-Face sure would have been sweet too. But don't worry, it's not all Batman, all Bat Day. Here is the Dark Knight's Metal Dread Lantern. Hard to pass up an Alan Scott, especially when it looks this good. But if you're not into metal, this looks like a couple of part swaps and a logo change away from a traditional JSA Alan Scott. So I gotta think that's gonna be some kind of variation in the future. The mostest goldest label or something. So you either wait and see, or you roll up your sleeves and do a little customizing. Shave off those spikes. I wonder if the eye effects are plugged in. And then you'd have to change the logo or tampo, water slide, decal, brighten the colors a bit. Either way, however you collect, do it. Whole lot of DC going on this week because here is the Mezco 1/12 Collective DC Comics Recovery Suit Superman. Same deal as what we talked about with Gargoyles Lexington. This was teased, semi-revealed last year, but there's been a few changes since then. Back then, it was a soft goods costume where you could see the cloth stitching and the thread count texture. Now, Soups is sporting some faux leather skin-tight pajamas. It gives him way more of a sleeker look, almost ethereal with the light shining off in places. But it also brings up some structural concerns, some stability issues. Will it stretch and tear over time or start flaking in places if you leave it in a pose? Is that still a concern? I haven't bought any figures that featured this material on them in a while. I've read complaints about that in the past. I don't think I've actually had that issue with any of my figures. I do dig the raised emblem on the chest and how the silver parts just stand out at you, which is the basic design of this costume, but it works really well here. To keep it from being too plain, Mezco added in some Kryptonian weapons and bandoliers and bands and rocket boots to spice things up. I really love the decapitated cyborg Superman holding hand. That's just mwah. Some nice head options too, with mullet-haired clean-shaven, mullet-haired bearded neutral and screaming, and then hair-trimmed bearded slightly smiling. It's a nice variety, and it looks like all the same guy. You know how sometimes you change up the hair and beard, and I am terrible about that. If you change your hairstyle, I'll be like, who are you? But here, I can see that all of these are Superman. Then to top all that off, there is the tattered cape on a stick. You know, that visual. That's very Death of Superman. All things considered, $95 is a deal when it comes to 1/12 Collective. I thought it would be around $115, $120, somewhere in there, but no. So if you're interested in that, there you go. Little Super 7 ThunderCats Ultimates tease. Here is what looks to be a glow-in-the-dark Chitara. Or I'm assuming that because the caption reads, "Glowing past you next week." And the picture looks like it's glowing a bit. So I've liked the gimmicky ThunderCats so far. The color change Lino and the clear Tigra, those are pretty sweet. So hopefully this is just more of the same. I guess we'll find out next week. As soon as the last weekly hit YouTube, the Four Horsemen hit their own online shop with the Figura Obscura Monkey King. And while I've seen this name and character thrown around the internet, I'm not really familiar, but that doesn't stop me from admiring a nice design and a nifty looking figure. And it doesn't hurt that 1/6 Shooter does the photographs either. I mean, this scrolled past my feed and I thought, I need to know more about this toy. I find myself staring at the backgrounds and the set and the composition just as much as I do at the figure. It's just The whole presentation elevates the toy itself. I mean, look at this. It's crazy. Granted, I didn't buy it. You know, this day and age, everything's expensive and you have to pick and choose. But I can really appreciate the work that went into everything here. But if you're just learning about this and wanting to pick it up, it is sold out. So why do I bring this up? Just to tease you. Haha, you can't have this. No. It's because they have been offering up Figura Obscura retailer appreciation versions to stores like Big Bad Toy Store. So maybe at some point in the future, we'll see this in a different color scheme or slightly altered in some way. I said maybe. If it doesn't happen, remember, I'm just a messenger. I'm just a purveyor of pretty promotional pictures. Do not get mad at me if it doesn't happen. Like, take these Demon Force Krampus brothers, Kraden and Kryn from Fury Toys. I don't know what the hell's going on here. They just look like interesting designs. They're both in their Christmas disguises and then boom! Swap some parts and reveal a couple of holiday nightmares. Well, okay, they're not really trying their bestest to hide their monster sides. Kryn's just wearing a Santa coat that he flings off for the big reveal. But isn't this whole season based on gullibility and thinly veiled threats? Even without the Jolly Fat Man motif, these are still two kick-ass looking demons. The way the mouth comes down and it's just, but it's hidden by the beard. That's just a clever design. I was gonna say it's my favorite, but I can't choose between the two. Don't make me choose. And since it's Fury Toys, there's already a track record here. If you have the Samurai Turtle Spring or the Crocker, you know what you're getting into. I'm still messing with my Not Leonardo and haven't had a lick of trouble. It's still as fun as the day I got it. Plus $90 for the pair seems like a steal considering how much plastic and paint is going on here. And articulation, really. Not double jointed range, but a lot is hidden by the design, and it did take me a couple of passes to realize that there's a dog leg tiptoe situation happening. There's a lot of shoe touching the ground, but there's a lot of mass up top too, so I'm figuring these are going to be top heavy. I've got 5K Toys linked in the description where there is an upfront deposit and it's set to ship sometime earlier next year. And that's it for this week. A little lean, but that's okay because I have a lot going on this weekend. My youngest graduates high school. My grandson has his first birthday. So I got things to do, which has made me feel the oldest I have ever felt over the past year. But at the same time, I can still come in here, sit down, grab some plastic, and that all melts away. And for me, that's the point of collecting. We throw around the you don't stop playing because you grow old because you stop playing. I don't think that is completely true. I think you grow old when you forget how to play because you cannot play all the time. Well, you can, but then you will never get anything else done. But you gotta remember why you did this in the first place. You gotta keep that back here and then look forward to the next time you get to play. Because if not, that's when you feel old. I can pick up a toy and it takes me back to the 30s when articulation started getting really, really good, or my 20s when I got back into it. It was all fresh and new after some years of grown-up stuff. Back to my teens when I was kind of hiding it, being backwoods Arkansas, reading comic books, still messing with toys, having a shelf with Ghostbusters and such, 89 Batman. Or before that, the toys of my childhood. That's the feeling I get when I mess with these things. And yeah, if I go a week or two, or 3 or 4, without pulling out the sculpt or the glue or the paints, I start to feel life getting in the way. But you have to handle those life situations knowing that at some point, hopefully you're going to get back to the fun stuff. Get back to playing. You may stop playing for a bit, but don't forget why you started doing this in the first place. Maybe we'll talk about more of that later, because I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. Haha, you didn't get me this time.